Sannyasa Yoga Part 2.
Now practical spirituality continues in a more contemplative sense. Up to this level we were discussing more outwardly aspects. From here we will the contemplative or inward. When you say contemplative, it means those values concerning our inner life or our inner being. Siddhim prapto yatha brahma yathapnoti nivodame samasena eva kaunteya nishtha jnanasya yapara. How he who has ascended to perfection thereby obtains the absolute. Sannyasa, what is the goal? What is the goal of a yogi? What is the goal of a siddhi? What is the goal of a bhakta? Why do people pursue this path? So earlier on in the 4th chapter he says 4 types of people. First of all, it is only good people who look for God. The evil person never looks for God. The good look. Among the good again there are 4 types, and they are called Artha Jignasu, Artharthi and the Jnani. Artha means person who has difficulty, who is facing problems, who is suffering. So he looks towards God so that his suffering be removed. He prays to God for removal of his suffering. Jignasu. Jignasu means one who is curious, he's got an inquiring mind, he wants to know, he's searching. Artharthi. Artharthi means one who needs the goods of life, he wants good things of life. Once his thirst for knowledge is satisfied, he likes to have the good things of life. So he too seeks God. And then the 4th is the Jnani, or the wise person. And of these, the wise is considered the greatest. The person who wants to know, wants knowledge about God. Such people are very few, and they are the most superior. So in the earlier chapter, chapter 4, Sri Krishna says that Jnani is considered to be equal to me. I am in him and he is in me. So Jnanis are put at a higher level. And the other 3 are considered more to be in the worldly plane. That is the Artha Jignasu, Artha Arthi. So always the goal is God, but for different purposes. For the Jnani, the goal of God is only for the love of God, or for realizing the nature of God and to be united with God. That is the goal. So the sannyasi's goal is to unite himself with God. So that is the siddhi. From this samsara sagara, he wants to go to samvit sagara. Everybody is caught in the samsara sagara, this phenomenal world. And this phenomenal world brings pain. It brings pleasure, but it brings pain. It brings misery, it brings suffering, it brings contradiction. So there is no permanent hope of a person finding his peace and his salvation in this world. Don't ever look for it here. It's not going to be found here. So it has to be found only by transcending this world, only by undergoing this process of yoga, this process of discipline, by which a person is able to raise his consciousness, his awareness to a higher plane, the divine plane. And that is what the sannyasi is trying to do. So siddhim prapto yatha brahma. He who has ascended to perfection, the moment he gets the siddhi, he gets Brahma also. That is absolute. That supreme consummation of wisdom. Nishtha jnanasya. That do you learn from me, O son of Kunti, in brief. So in brief he will explain to you how this Brahma is obtained by the person who has got the siddhi, or has attained perfection. What is the reward of perfection? The Brahma Jnana. And what is the reward of Brahma Jnana? Paramananda. And no more birth, no more death, no more suffering, no more pain. Tarati shokam atmavit abhaya vai brahma. Tarati shokam. Tarati means crosses over. Shoka. Shoka means suffering. He crosses over misery, distress by knowing about Atma. Tarati shokam atmavit. Vit means the knower. The person who knows the Atman, he will have no more suffering. And abhaya vai brahma. Abhayam means fearlessness. The person who knows Brahma, all fear also goes from him. He will never be afraid. So these are the benefits that come by knowing the Absolute. Buddhya vishuddhaya yukto. So this is the way of spirituality. What is the way of spirituality? Is clearly spoken of here as Buddhya vishuddhaya yukto. Dhrityatmanam niyamya cha. Shabdadin vishayam styaktva ragadveshau vyudasya cha. Yukta vishuddhaya buddhaya. Buddhi, again we have said, is the reasoning. It is the highest faculty in the human being, the judging faculty, that which directs the other faculties. The indriyas are the faculties of the sense organs from which they are receiving the stimulus from outside. Mind is the faculty which coordinates those impulses and also gives us the experience of pleasure and pain that comes from the mind. Buddhi is the judging, planning and the faculty of intellection. So buddhi is the higher faculty. So this buddhi must become refined or purified, and buddhi is right next to the Atman, the soul. Cha niyamya atmanam, and restraining the self. Dhritya, with firmness, detaching oneself from sound and other sense objects and casting out liking and disliking. So this is the pure perfect yogic attitude. You see, in the Kathopanishad, they give a symbolic representation of the human body as a chariot. And in that chariot there is a samrat sitting, the sovereign, like a king. Who is that? That is the soul. And the chariot is the body. And there are 5 horses. The 5 horses are the senses. There are the reins, which is the mind. And then there is the charioteer, like the driver. That is the buddhi. So the buddhi has to hold, with the help of the mind, the 5 horses, which are the 5 senses. The road is the sense objects. So the senses are always running towards the sense objects. The mind can go both to the side of the senses or it can go to the side of the buddhi. When the buddhi is strong, then the mind is under control. So this like and dislike, I like this and I don't like this, raga dvesha, this is an aspect of the mind. Attraction and repulsion. Certain thing pleases us, so we welcome it. Certain displeases us, so we reject it. A yogi, the person who is not a yogi, he will be under the sway of these two, attraction and repulsion. But the yogi casts out, he gets out of that liking and disliking, keeping the self restrained, detaching himself from sound and other sense objects. And then there is a withdrawal. Most of these are negative ways in which you are withdrawing from the world. There is a pravritti marga and there is a nivritti marga. In the pravritti marga, people are progressing, proceeding on. This is nivritti, in which we are withdrawing from the world. We are trying to move inward. Vivikta sevi laghavashi yata vaka kaya manasaha dhyana yoga paro nityam vairagyam samupashritaha. So there is a withdrawal into the peace that is found within oneself. That is vivikta sevi, dwelling in solitude, laghuvashi, frugal in diet, yata vakaya manasaha, controlling body, speech and mind, nityam ever, dhyana yoga paraha, for whom meditative contemplation is highest, samupashrita vairagyam, vairagya, resorting to dispassion. Ahankaram balam darpam kamam krodham parigraham vimuchya nirmamaha shanto brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So this is the starting, the purification of the reasoning. How does it happen? Say vimuchya ahankaram balam darpam, letting go of ahankara, letting go of power, and darpam, that is arrogance, and kamam, desire. Letting go of these feelings, these bhavanas, ultimately they should not occur at all. Krodham, anger, parigraham, possessiveness. Very hard. These things are so deep-seated in a person, it is very difficult to root them out. And yet, unless these are rooted out, there cannot be any spiritual progress. Remember, we are talking of spiritual progress here. So, nirmamaha, free from ownership, shantaha, tranquil, kalpate, is worthy of becoming the Absolute. So that person who is becoming the Absolute will have all these qualities. That is, no quality of possessiveness, total sense of peace. Even if other people come in his presence, they also begin to feel peaceful. That is the beauty of a yogi. The moment you approach a real yogi, automatically you become peaceful. If your mind is in agitation, just by going near the yogi, your mind becomes peaceful. Why? Because the yogi has got no desire, no egoism, no anger, no possessiveness, no arrogance. These are all qualities which are bondages for human beings. They cause pain to human beings. They cause suffering to human beings. So these things are to be removed. Brahma bhutah prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samah sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. So this perfection is conceived on its own in neutralized, equalized manner, balanced between opposites. So whenever you say absolute, remember we are talking of something which is neutralized, which is balanced, which has no pairs of opposites in it. So Brahma bhutah, becoming the absolute, prasannatma, serene in the self, na shochati. Shokam is always sorrow, despair. Even the word Shudra comes from Shoka Dravati, that person who is sunk in sorrow, that person who is depressed or is always sorrowful, that is a Shudra. Na Kankshati, does not hanker after anything, does not crave for this or that. Samaha, equal-minded, Sarva Bhuteshu, towards all beings. Labhate, he attains Madbhaktim. Contemplative devotion is having these qualities. This quality of no desire, no hankering, being equal-minded towards all. So it is a very neutral, balanced, unitive thinking. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yascha asmi tattvataha. So once you have got this devotion, you also get the tattva. Tattva means knowledge. You must know. So in the next verse, devotion of the last verse is balanced with intellectual counterpart. That is tattva. Knowing the principles, knowing the intellectual side of it. So number 55, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. So after bhakti, through devotion, he comes to know me, how far comprehensible I am. Then having known me philosophically, he immediately enters into me. So these are the two sides of it. One is devotion, but devotion alone will not give you the complete picture. It has to be balanced by the philosophical knowledge. That is the tattva. So bhakti must have jnana also. Jnana must complement it. Jnana means knowledge, knowing, understanding. And the moment the understanding comes, you become united. How do you unite with the Lord? You unite through the understanding, through knowledge. When you know the Absolute, Brahmavit, you become Absolute. So the moment you know about it, you become that. So through knowing, a person becomes that. Unification happens. Sarva karmanyapi sada kurvano mad vyapashrayah mad prasadat avapnoti shashvatam padam avyayam. Therefore, still continuing to do all actions, having known this, this is to be understood as the basic principles. There is the Absolute. The Absolute is to be known through devotion. Absolute is to be known through knowledge. And here we are in the world of action. So still continuing to do all actions. So the way given here in the Gita is not to abandon one's actions, but to do one's action, treating me as his refuge, as his ashraya. So there is a personal surrender. By my grace, he obtains the everlasting, undiminishing status. Avyayam padam, undiminishing, never decreasing. And shashvatam, everlasting. This is the interesting part, the grace. From one side there is the aspiration, the effort from the side of the sadhaka, from the side of the seeker, and from the opposite side, from the side of the Lord, comes grace. They say that you can go up to the door and you can knock the door, but when the door will be opened, that is not in your hand. It means by doing siddhi, a person can keep trying till he comes to a certain level, and then the grace comes. Also, grace is not coming all at once, it keeps coming every day. In every way we find we have our daily grace. Through our daily grace that we are able to live each day, through the grace that is shown from the Lord. And so too in the case of the spiritual aspiration too. The siddhi comes with the grace. If I take an example from farming, the farmer can plough the field, he can plant the seed, but then he has no control over the rain. That must come by God's grace. God will send the rain, and then that rain will help the crop to grow. So both are necessary. The sadhana, the striving, the discipline from the side of the sadhaka, and the grace from the side of the Lord. If the person is not prepared, then the grace will not work. Just like if the field is not prepared, what is the use of the rain? Both are necessary. So that is why a person must always be alert and must constantly be working, doing yoga sadhana. Because whenever the grace comes, he is ready to receive it. Chetasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matparaha buddhi yogam upashritya matchittaha satatam bhava. Action viewed with certain aloofness. Mentally renouncing all actions in me. Whatever action you do, I do, mentally I renounce it to the Lord. Matparaha, regarding me as the Supreme. Upashritya, resorting to buddhi yogam, unitive understanding. Matchittaha satatam bhava. Having me filling your relational consciousness. So this is a great power that people can attain through siddhi. In spite of their work, whatever work they are doing, they are able to mentally renounce that work to the Lord. And they can still be constantly devoted to the Lord. So yoga means unitive thinking. You are uniting. You are not making a division. You don't make a division between the spiritual world or religious world and the material world. And don't say, now I am material world, so now I don't have any God here. And then I leave all this and I go to another place and that is the holy place and that is where God is. You don't make that sort of division here. But you see that whatever you are doing, wherever you are, you can always mentally think of the Lord. And you can renounce to the Lord. And you can have that communion with the Lord. So filling your relational consciousness always with the Lord, your chittam. Mat chittaha sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyasi atha chetvam ahankaran nashroshyasi vinangshyasi. But if a person does not follow this, then there is destruction. Destruction of what? Destruction of his contemplative life. This communion with the Lord, communion with the Spirit, that will be destroyed if ahankara comes in. So by his consciousness, by meditating on the Lord, Macchitta Sarva Durgani, one person will be able to overcome all the Durgani, the obstacles. And Mat Prasadat, by his grace. By the grace of God, the person who is devoted, he will cross over all obstacles. But if from egoism you will not listen, you shall certainly come to ruin. In the case of Arjuna, it was his ego. Egoistically he was saying, no, I don't want to fight, I won't do this. And if that ego comes, then a person will come to ruin. It says, Vinangshayati. Vinangshayati means he will be destroyed. But what will be destroyed? His contemplative life will be destroyed. He can still be living, but he won't have that spiritual connection. So this refers to the diffidence of Arjuna and also his hesitations and doubts. So that hesitation and doubt that Arjuna was having, that will cause problems to him. So that was coming from his egoism. So that is what has to be overcome by the faith and the trust and the fixing of the mind on the Lord and mentally renouncing all actions. What action was done now from a worldly plane, the same action is done in a spiritual plane with a spiritual connection. So it becomes a yoga. Same activity that was done previously without any higher thought, now is done with a higher thought, with contemplative thinking. That becomes a yoga. Yad ahankaram ashritya na yotseiti manyase mithyaiva vyavasayaste prakritistvam niyokshasi. So there is also something about the nature in us that is impelling us to do things. Prakriti, the gunas, you can't avoid the gunas. The gunas will force you, compel you to work. You can't just sit down on the chair all day. The guna will force you to do things. So even if Arjuna thinks, I will not fight, absurd is this your resolution, nature will compel you. Man is always caught between these two. We speak of freedom and free will, especially in the modern world, people are so conscious about their freedom. But we have only limited freedom. Then the side of necessity, nature will compel us to do so many things. Swabhavya jena kaunteya nibaddha svena karmana kartum nechasi yan mohat karishyasi avasho apitat. So there is an unavoidable situation. It's like some action has been triggered off, has been started now. It cannot be stopped. You cannot take it back. You cannot pull back. You have made your decision. You have gone forward. You have blown the conch. You have set the ball rolling. Inevitability is there. You can't suddenly go back and say, I want to stop it. That is your confusion. That which through confusion you do not like to do, O son of Kunti, you shall do that very thing helplessly, bound by your own nature-born action. So there is an unavoidable aspect here from nature. Nature has that force which will create situation in which a person has to act. This is all in context of Arjuna's decision of not wanting to fight. So he says, whatever you say, whatever you do, your situation of necessity, your situation of karma, that cannot be avoided. That must be done. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. He gives a very mechanistic example here. So it is the Ishvara, the Lord alone, who is seated in the hearts of all, and he makes everything go around as if mounted on a machine. So it's a very incomprehensible, enigmatic thing. When you say Maya, what is Maya? Maya is the force of the Lord. Maya is the magic of the Lord. Maya is the yoga shakti of this Lord by which he is making this world run. Nobody can figure it out. It's only by the grace of God that you understand what is Maya. But Maya makes this whole world go round, and it keeps everybody rotating too. So that is what is shown here, that there is a certain helplessness also, inscrutable principle of unreality, and it is all caused by the Lord. Tameva sharanam gaccha svabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapsyasi shashvatam. So in all possible ways, in every way, seek refuge in Him alone, O Bharata. Sharanam, take refuge, take sharan in the Lord in all possible ways. Sarva bhavena. Don't be exclusive, don't think only in this way or that way, but in all ways. Tat prasadat, from that grace you shall obtain shantim sthanam, param shashvatam. So this is always the goal of eternal peace and everlasting supreme. Iti te jnanam akhyātam guhyāt guhyataram maya vimrashaya tad aseshena yathechasi tatha kuru. This is a fantastic verse, because in this verse you say that Gita is not a dharma shastra. A dharma shastra is a shastra which will tell you do this, don't do this. It will force you to do its teachings. There are so many scriptures in this world which force their votaries. You must do this, you have to do this. But Gita is the most wonderful book, because here, after teaching him all this wisdom, Sri Krishna himself says, you do as you wish. Thus has wisdom more secret than all that is secret been declared to you. Guhya guhitaram. If you understand these secrets, they are the highest of wisdom. That has been told to you. So you scrutinize it, you think about it, and then do as you like. This is the great thing about this, is that he leaves the choice to Arjuna. Arjuna has to decide. Krishna has done his duty of teaching him, but he does not say, now you must do this. He says, you do as you wish. It was my duty to teach you, I have taught you. Now you scrutinize it, you think about it, and you make your decision. And this is a very, very useful idea, useful attitude to have when you are dealing with your own siblings, your own friends and young people, giving them the freedom to make their own choices, but at the same time taking the trouble to explain all the values involved, not ordering them to do this or that, but taking care to explain the situation and then leaving the choice to that person, doing it in freedom, making a choice in freedom. Sarva guhyatamam bhuyah sunume paramam vachah ishto asi me dridamiti tato vakshami te hitam. Listen again to my supreme word, the most secret of all, because you are greatly beloved of me. I will tell you what is for your good. Now he says even a greater secret, and that greater secret is Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. This is the only verse which is repeated in the Gita, and therefore can be considered as the central teaching of the Gita. Manmana bhava madbhakto. Become one with me, bow down, be devoted to me, sacrifice to me, and do namaskar to me. Mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyo asime. I promise you in truth you are dear to me. You shall come to me alone. So this is the journey of the true sadhaka, the flight of the alone to the alone. The person is thinking of the Lord, Manmana bhava. Become one with me, that is the highest mad bhaktaho. If you can't go that high, then be devoted to me. Sacrifice to me, madhyaji mam, namaskuru, salute me, bow down to me. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma suchaha. We have said many times action is inferior to wisdom. So Gita is clearly not a theological or religious work. When he says Sarvadharman parityajya, you renounce all these dharmas, abandon all dharmas and come to me. Take refuge in me. I shall absolve you from all sins. Do not despair. This is a very high teaching. Because we must say when we look at the Absolute is neutral. Absolute includes in it both dharma, dharma, satta, sat. All these are included. It is neutral, just like this light that is shining in this room. In this light, we can read the Gita, or we can read the newspaper, or we can read a novel, or we can do so many different things, some good or some not good, in the same light. But that does not affect the light. Yet we need the light to do these activities. Similarly, the Absolute too sheds its light. And in that absolutist light, people can do whatever they wish to do. If they do dharma, they will progress. If they don't do dharma, they will get into trouble. That is their own doings. That has nothing to do with the Lord. But here the person is advised to give up all these relativistic dharmas, these small do's and don'ts, and go into the transcendental. Take refuge of the Lord, and He will absolve you from all sins. Aham mokshishyami ma suchaha. She'll give you mukti, moksha. This also, the real teachings of the Gita comes to an end. After this, there are only little bit of advices and rules given, but no real teachings. So this was the last verse of the actual teachings. Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha shushrushave vachyam na cha mam abhyasuyate. So in the Bible also, he says, those who are not with me are against me. So this injunction comes that these teachings of the Gita, they are not to be told to one who is spiritually undisciplined. Only those persons who have practiced some spiritual discipline, who have done some sadhana, to them you should teach these things. And to one who is not a bhakta, who is a very samsari person who criticizes me and always speaks bad about the Lord, don't teach these things to such a person. Ya idam paramam guhyam madbhaktveshu abhidhasyati bhaktim mayi param kritva mam eva ishyati asamshayah. And also on the contrary, the other side is given. Those who give the supreme secret to my devotee, thereby doing for me supreme devotion, shall doubtless come to me. So Sri Krishna definitely praises those people who have the ability to teach this Gita to others, to his devotees. Nacha tasman manushyeshu kaschin me priya krittamaha bhavita nacha me tasmad anyah priyataro bhuvi. Nor is there beside such a one among men any who is the highest performer of dear acts, nor shall there be for me another dearer on earth. So for the Lord, who is the dearest person? The person who can give these teachings to other people. He will consider such a person to be very, very dear to him. Adhyeshyate cha ya imam dharmyam samvadam avayoho jnana yajnena tenaham ishtah syam iti me mati. Also, those of us who read this Gita, this dialogue, conducive to righteousness, dharmya, then we have worshipped through the jnana yajna. How do we perform jnana yajna? By studying it, by reading it. By studying this dialogue, we have worshipped God through the Jnana Yajna. If you want to worship the Lord with the Jnana Yajna, how will you do it? No use lighting a havan and pouring ghee in it, but by studying his dialogue, you have performed the Jnana Yajna. Shraddhavan anasuyascha shrunuyadapi yo narah soapi muktah subham lokan prapnuyat punya karmanam. Free of carping. This asuya is a very central thing, it's a very difficult thing. Asuya, it means jealousy, carping, fault finding. And that is not a good thing. So one should be free of carping. And the man who may merely happen to hear, endowed with faith and uncarping, even he, liberated, shall attain to the good worlds of those who perform meritorious deeds. This is another category of a person who just merely hears the Gita dialogue and his By nature devoted, so he does not find fault. He is not a carping person. He has no asuya. Even he shall be liberated, and he shall attain to good worlds of those who performed punya. So those who have performed punya karmas, they occupy a certain level. And the person simply by hearing it with devotion, he will also get that. Kaschidetad shrutam partha tvayi ekagrena chetasa kaschid ajnana sammoha pranastaste dhananjaya. So ekagrita, one-pointed mind, having an absolutely concentrated mind, one-pointed mind, it is with that sort of mind that the Gita should be heard or should be studied. So he asks, has this been heard by you, O Partha, with one-pointed mind? O winner of wealth, Dhananjaya, has your delusion, your moha and ajnana, has it been destroyed? So Arjuna vacha, nashto moha smritir labdva tvat prasadat mayachyuta sthito asmi gata samdeha karishyasi vachanam tava. So this is the obedience. So he says, nashto moha. From the first verse where Arjuna was caught in Vishada and delusion, to here where he has become bright and his mind is clear and all his delusion, his moha is gone and his smriti is back. His right memory was back. In the previous case, his wrong memories were troubling him. Now his right memory is returned. Smriti labdhva tad prasadat, by the grace of Lord. Maya achyuta sthito asmi gata sandeha karishyasi vachadam tava. So I am properly established now. I feel firm, I feel okay. I shall carry out your word. Now we come to the end. Now we remember the Gita is over and the story must go back into the Mahabharata. And so Sanjaya appears again. Sanjaya is a neutral. He's like a reporter. And he is now speaking about what was happening there. And with this, the story will enter into the Mahabharata. We started with Dhritarashtra Uvacha and we end with the last words of Sanjaya. Sanjaya Uvacha Ityaham Vasudevasya Parthasya cha Mahatmanah Samvadam imam ashrausham adbhutam romaharshanam. So Sanjaya says, thus I have heard this wonderful dialogue, this adbhutam samvadam between Vasudeva and Partha, and it causes my hair to stand up. When you hear something thrilling, the hair stands up, romaharshanam. Vyasa Prasadat Shrutavan etad guhyam aham param yogam yogeshwarat krishnat sakshat kathayatah swayam. By the grace of Vyasa, I heard the supreme and most secret yoga. Vyasa Prasadat. Why? Because Sri Vyasa wrote this Gita. So he says, by the grace of Vyasa, I heard the supreme and most secret yoga spoken by Krishna himself, Yogeshwara. He is the Lord of Yoga, as immediately given to my senses. So the curtain is now coming down on the Gita and the epic is going to start. Rajan samsmitya samvadam imam adbhutam Keshava Arjuna yoho punyam rishyami cha muhur muhur. Stress on the memory 4 times is a fade out to the treasured by Sanjaya. So Sanjaya is going to remember anything good that happens to us, we like to remember it again and again and again and again. So here also he says samsmitya, 4 times he says remembering, I am remembering. O king, I remember this beautiful, marvelous punyam samvadam, sacred dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna. And I, rishyami means I enjoy, I rejoice again and again. Every time I recollect this, every time I remember this wonderful dialogue, I rejoice. It makes me happy. Tatcha samsmitya rupam atyudbhutam harehe vishmayo me mahan rajan rishyami cha punah punah. And when I remember that form of Hari, so Shankaracharya thinks of the cosmic, that Vishwarupa Darshana that he saw, where he saw the form of Hari, form of Vishnu. Great is my astonishment and I rejoice over and over again. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Krishna and Arjuna emerge again as actors in Mahabharata. So Yatra Yogeshwara, wherever there is the Yogeshwara or the Lord of Yoga, Krishna, and Partha Dhanurdara, he is the great archer. He can wield the bow and arrow. Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir. So wherever they are, you will have Shri, that is prosperity, Vijaya, victory, Bhutihi, progress, Dhruva Niti, well-established justice, Niti. And Dhruva means which is stable and constant justice. Mama Matihi, such is my belief. That is Sanjaya's belief. So we were talking of Sanjaya, we are talking of back into the Mahabharata. So the values are also dealing with this world, like prosperity, victory, progress, justice. These are the values we need in our society to make our society harmonious and our life here good. So here he doesn't talk of very high things. He's talking back to things which concern us because we are entering into the Mahabharata now. This is the beautiful end of this beautiful epic, of this beautiful 701 verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi.